It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 the Midlands, heard around the world on the iHeart Radio application. Lots to get into today, including more conversations about the move by Todd Bates to Oklahoma. Todd Bates putting out a statement yesterday afternoon on that front. We've also got to continue our conversation, I think, about the Caleb Williams situation out at Oklahoma, with the fact that one of the top quarterbacks in all of the country this past year, who came on like gangbusters, so much so that Spencer Rattler ends up at South Carolina. Now, there is some great irony that SC could get both of these players, meaning Rattler to South Carolina, who was pushed out of Oklahoma by Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams potentially to SC Southern California to play with his former head coach, Lincoln Riley. We also got Clemson basketball updates for you, and last night, having a chance to listen to that game for whatever reason, couldn't get it locally, but having to listen to that game, and legendary Clemson SID having to fill in and do the play-by-play commentary instead of his normal color position. He was joined by Jim Davis, the former Clemson women's basketball coach. I thought Tim Ray did a great job. I mean, that has got to be a tough thing to fill in for. And when we talk with Tim tomorrow, we'll find out a little bit more about his background in calling play-by-play, because it is completely different from calling the color commentary. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. I know we've got a lot of notes and nuggets to get to from you guys, as well as you have chimed into the program over the past couple of days. And I don't know why. I somehow missed them. I mean, I tend to do pretty well with making sure we get those in, but for whatever reason, there were several messages and texts that came through, and your old boy Swanny let you down. I let my down, and I apologize. Again, our website, put the .com on it. Doggone it, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. You can head over there and be a part of the program, and also get some insight and take a look and listen to our thoughts from yesterday's program about Cade Klubnik and DJ Uiagalelei potentially going head-to-head here in a couple of months up in Tigertown, as they'll have spring practice. And look, I said it yesterday. I'll continue to say it. It might make people who are close to DJ unhappy, but the fact of the matter remains, at this point, DJ Uiagalelei, I think, just has to either A, get healthy. I think that's a part of it. So maybe it's not either A, get healthy. Maybe it's, I think he has to A, get healthy. That means knee and finger. And then I think that B, he's got to get right between his ears. And he will be pressed by Cade Klubnik, in my estimation. And I have said this, and I didn't mention this yesterday. I think it'll be healthy for DJ to be pushed by Cade Klubnik. I mean, I do. I don't know that at any point in 2021, I don't know if at any point along the way, DJ Uiagalelei looked over his shoulder and thought, ooh, Tyson Pumachan, ooh, Hunter Helms. I think he's going to feel the heat from having a guy like Cade Klubnik on campus. 803-450-0086. That's your number. Tiger Chuck chimes into the program. He says, Swanny, no way does Cade not start over DJ at some point early on. DJ is the worst quarterback in the Power 5, and I think some Clemson fans give him the benefit of the doubt just because it's our guy. But my goodness, imagine watching that atrocious play for another team. Jake Bentley is better. Yes, a lot better. That comes to us from Tiger Chuck. So again, the conversations surrounding DJ are not going anywhere. And the reason being is that in every single way, shape, or form, you've seen DJ this past year on the gridiron. I mean, from start to finish, it never felt normal. It never felt like, hey, this guy looks comfortable. This guy is embracing the role. And what is so weird about it, and I honestly believe that this is the strangest part of it all, and I think this is the most fair way to say it. It is incredibly strange to me that DJ looked as good as he did, maybe not in the Boston College game, right? Nerves, rust, first game, but you still led Clemson to a comeback victory a year ago when you find out just a couple of days before the game that Trevor Lawrence is not going to be able to play because of COVID-19. But then that following week, the performance that DJ had against Notre Dame is, when you look back at it, one of the most inexplicable things that maybe he's done. In that game, DJ went 29 of 44 for 439 yards passing. That broke the freshman yardage record set by Deshaun Watson. The 400-plus passing yards by DJ Uiagalelei was the first of his career and only the fifth Clemson quarterback to ever accomplish that feat. And Trevor Lawrence at that time had only done it once as well. And it's possible, I didn't double-check Lawrence's numbers, but it's possible that was the only that Trevor never threw for 400 yards again. I can't remember if he did anywhere along the way, just off the top of my head. But in Lawrence's absence a year ago, the future looked bright at Clemson, and the belief was that this offense was going to be in the steady hands of DJ Uiagalelei. He also threw in that game, by the way, 2 touchdowns and rushed for another touchdown. And it wasn't because of DJ, you'll remember. It wasn't because of DJ that the Clemson Tigers ended up losing that ball game. It was because of the Clemson defense and their inability to make stops. And that, to me, when you go back and check it, and look, would Clemson won that game with Trevor Lawrence? Probably so. I mean, you look at the way Clemson dominated Notre Dame in the ACC championship. It's hard not to believe that the Tigers would have played better with Trevor Lawrence there. But 29 of 44, 439, and 2 touchdowns. This is a team in Clemson that trailed 10-0. DJ had that bad, the pitch to Etienne that was being fumbled, and a scoop and score for a touchdown by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in the second quarter of that ball game to give Notre Dame a 20-10 lead after the Tigers had battled back to make it a 13-10 ball game. You're down at the half, 23-13. You get 10 points in the third quarter to tie things up heading into the fourth quarter. And DJ leads a 12-play with 3 minutes and 33 seconds left in the game, in a tie game, on the road at Notre Dame. DJ leads a 12-play, 74-yard drive in 5 minutes and 41 seconds to give Clemson a 33-26 lead on the road in South Bend. Again, I know it wasn't 80,000 fans in attendance, but the DJ Uiagalelei in front of 11,011 fans, according to the information I have here. The DJ Uiagalelei that you saw this past season, would you have the confidence that he would lead a 12-play, 74-yard, go-ahead scoring drive? Probably not. And then let's not forget, in overtime, Clemson gets the ball first. Boom goes the dynamite. First play, they're essentially in the end zone. They're at the 1, and DJ punches it in. 40-33, Clemson takes the lead in overtime. And Clemson, by the way, after going up with 3:33 left in that game, gave up an 8-play, 91-yard drive in 1 minute and 26 seconds. That loss at Notre Dame a year ago, not on DJ's shoulders. If anything, he carried that Clemson team that evening. And that, I mean, Travis Etienne, 18 carries, 28 yards, 1 touchdown. That's the thing that has become the most mind-blowing of it all when you look at DJ, is the fact that here he was, this bright, shining star that the offense was just going to be handed over to. I think everybody bought into it. And then this year looked the complete opposite. It looked the absolute opposite. And that was the thing that I think has continued to eat at people left and right. John in Archdale, North Carolina hits up the program. Again, you can too. 803-450-0086. He says, Swanny, I'm back in the corporate office starting today, so I won't be bothering you during your live show. John in Archdale, don't worry, buddy. You hit us up anytime. You know we'll squeeze it in, man. We'll make it happen. Preston, listening to the program. Yesterday, I said something to the effect of that, you know, when you talk about the pay raise that a guy like Todd Bates got at Clemson, a $200,000 pay raise up to $715,000 a year. I said, buddy, I'd be checking out. Preston said, if I got that pay raise, I would walk out of the classroom mid-sentence. I think most people would agree with that. Most people are walking out of anywhere for that type of money in a hurry. I mean, that is a lot of coin. That is a lot of coin. Again, we'll get back into the Todd Bates conversations a little bit later. Nick in Aiken, hey, check it out. How about the thoroughbred country? Nick chiming in. Not only, you never know, man. Nick could be an Aiken High guy. He could be a South Aiken guy. He could be a Silver Bluff guy. And if you're a Silver Bluff guy, Nick, then you and I can't talk anymore because that's the old rivalry, right? Barnwell and Silver Bluff. Don't forget it, Nick. BHS is the best. I will say, off the heels of the Super Bowl shuffle back in the day, though, credit to, I think, both Barnwell and Silver Bluff. They went to like local radio stations and put together like songs to battle each other. That was back when Mac Weir and Clayton Criswell were going head to head in the 80s. And boy, those two had some stellar football teams in the 2A level. Nonetheless, Nick says, Swanny, I'd be surprised if DJ starts over Cade. Clemson would have been happy to have Kelly Bryant back this season. Probably would have went back to the playoffs. Oof, Nick. I mean, that is one that's a tough pill. And you know what? You might be right. Kelly Bryant might have been the starter again. As I said yesterday, more elusive. Maybe not the best arm. Certainly seemed to have more confidence than DJ had this past year. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's send it out to the phone lines as well. You can be a part of the program this way, too. Again, 803-450-0086. Call us. Leave us a message. We'll get you in. And, yes, 00, if you're out there listening, we are working to get you the opportunity to call in and be a part of the show live. So we are still working on that. I hope to pull that off in the very near future. Nonetheless, let's send it out to Mac. Mac, what's going on, man?
Swan, I know you're talking about the quarterback, DJ, and you're talking about the new guy coming in. Got to be honest with you, man. Y'all may be seeing something I'm not seeing and vice versa. But I haven't seen any improvement in DJ over the whole entire year. I don't know if the offensive coordinator or the quarterback coach, who's over in charge of working with him, he's still doing the same thing. You would have think a year or two under his belt, we would be seeing improvement. And another thing is, I don't think someone is teaching him how to read defenses, and I don't think someone is teaching him. And I hate to say this, I don't think the young man can see that well. So I'll listen to your response if I'm not in my bed by the time you get off. You brought up a good point, or you started on it. You got to go back and think about Kelly Bryant's situation. And when they brought in Trevor Lawrence, Kelly Bryant couldn't get the ball to those extraordinary wide receivers that Clemson had. Clemson had an extraordinary group of wide receivers this past football season. I think a lot of those guys left because DJ couldn't get them the ball. Some boys got aspirations about going to the NFL, and the quarterback couldn't get them the ball. Then he's like, look, I'm out of here. So that's another good point. See, think about.
Appreciate it, Mac. Yeah, and the other thing, too, and I tried to be careful with this yesterday, and I think anybody that listened to the program, or if you go over to the website where I've got the link up about Cade Klubnik coming to Tiger Town and having the heat on, essentially DJ Uiagalelei's rear end. But if you, for a minute, just think about the number of wide receivers that were out this year, injured or whatever, like that has to be a part of it. There were also a lot of drops this year as well that I know, I think as fans, you like to throw something like that on the quarterback because he is the straw that stirs the drink. Morgan Thomas, who hosts the Morgan Thomas Show, put together a graphic of the Clemson drop percentage, adjusted completion percentage numbers since 2014. And if you just look at the drop percentage, the drop, now again, drops aren't on the quarterback, right? I mean, I guess technically some of them could be. Cole Stout, 5.9. Deshaun Watson, 7.9, 7.5, 7.6. Kelly Bryant, 4.7 drop percentage. 4.7. Kelly Bryant, ironically, the lowest drop percentage of any Clemson quarterback since 2014 by a pretty wide margin, by the way. 7.9 for Trevor, 6.9 for Trevor, 5.7 for Trevor. Last year, DJ had 4.9 drop percentage in 2 games. 10.3% drops. 10.3% drops. I mean, that is a wild number. And in the ACC, that ranked 14th. 14th in the league. Incredibly, Kelly Bryant, when he was at 4.7, was second in the league. Even still, I mean, that is another just stat that does speak to the fact that the wide receivers, quote unquote, didn't help him out. 803-450-0086. Let me know what you think. Again, the heat is on. Klubnik will be arriving in Tiger Town soon. And you'll be able to watch him this weekend at the Army All-American Bowl, noon on NBC Saturday, January the 8th in San Antonio, Texas. Cade Klubnik will be a part of that All-Star game. And again, he was named Max Prep's National Player of the Year. He'll be the quarterback of the West. Ty Simpson, Alabama commit, who Clemson was also very interested in, will also be playing on the West squad. So you got a couple of guys there. And remember, it was Simpson and his commitment to Alabama that then opened up the door for Clemson to offer Cade Klubnik because the Tigers were targeting Simpson. Ironically, after it was all said and done, Klubnik finished as the number 1 quarterback in 247's composite ratings and the 18th best player in America, ahead of Ty Simpson, who finished 3rd as far as quarterbacks go. Klubnik with a 0.9901 247 composite rating, the top quarterback in the 2021 class, who will be arriving on campus as soon as this game essentially wraps up. So the heat is on in the Clemson quarterback room for DJ Uiagalelei. We'll hit a quick break. We'll come back with more on the show that shakes the Southland as Clemson Sports Talk rolls along on a Wednesday afternoon. Stay with us. We'll talk a little Tiger hoops.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
One big tie-up this afternoon. It's on Alpine Road at Two Notch.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. If New Year calls for more hiring, check out Indeed, the all-in-one hiring platform that makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in one place. Sponsor your first job post today after visiting Indeed.com/credit.
iHeartRadio Earth knows small changes make a big difference for the environment. Did you know that keeping your tires even a single PSI lower than recommended means worse mileage and more trips to the pump? So do the environment and your wallet a favor and always check the tire pressure. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips on smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan. And when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating. 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today. 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Every small business owner's most important New Year's resolution is to attract more customers. Let a radio ad from iHeart Ad Builder reach the customers that will make 2022 a successful year. iHeartAdBuilder.com is the fast, affordable way to create a customized ad for your business. Just answer a few questions and get your commercial on the air. Start 2022 off right and put the power of radio to work for your business at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Hey, this is Ray.
And Mary Ann with Absolute Glass.
We would like to thank Lexington for voting us Best Glass Shop in Lexington for 10 years in a row.
Absolute Glass specializes in high-end auto glass replacement and repair.
We also do home windows,
patio doors,
tabletops,
shower doors,
mirrors,
storefronts,
and decorative glass.
Find us online at absoluteglassinc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Beyond all the hospitals and doctors and surgeries they need just to survive, they also deserve whatever they need to truly live. All the in-home care and day-to-day help they need to live independently, on their own terms. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs were established to provide these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence at no cost for life. So many of them need us, and it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
Unit 121 responding to possible carbon monoxide poisoning.
Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless, tasteless gas that kills more than 500 Americans every year. Never use generators, grills, camp stoves, or other gasoline or charcoal burning devices inside your home, basement, or garage, or near a window. If it's cold, stay with friends or family or in a shelter. To learn more, call 1-800-CDC-INFO.
It is Clemson Sports Talk on a Wednesday. I know we said we were going to talk a little Tiger hoops, but we'll push that back a little bit because the developments on the front, literally on the defensive front for Clemson, seem to be pointing in the direction of former Clemson Tiger Nick Eason. Eason, a native of Lyons, Georgia, played his football there at Clemson when I was up there in Tiger Town, knew him. And, of course, Nick went on to play in the NFL, returned, and ended up doing some coaching in the NFL, and then ultimately, most recently, becoming the defensive line coach there at Auburn. Now, the good news, I think, from the standpoint of bringing in Nick Eason, and again, if you read our premium article on the topic, Eason's name was one of the two that I really highlighted that I thought made a lot of sense. The other being former Clemson Tiger Brenson Buckner, who worked obviously with the Arizona Cardinals at the time that Wes Goodwin was out there. And yeah, it's a different game coming to the collegiate level, recruiting and all of that. But, I think that there are a lot of people out there, and I've said it, I think the title of defensive coordinator, co-defensive coordinator, not being put on Todd Bates is probably the reason that Todd Bates left Clemson. And the thing that Nick Eason brings you, maybe more than Todd Bates, is the fact that there is a connection already in place. And yes, he's new to this game, but I think that Eason's probably got a more personable experience. Eason's got more experience at the professional level playing, and certainly will have a chance, I think, because he's a Georgia native, of getting himself right back in the mix there, and the ties to Alabama, that state where he's now at Auburn, help because that's kind of what you lost when you get rid of or have a guy like Todd Bates leave your program. So everything trending towards Nick Eason becoming the guy at Clemson on the defensive front. And I don't think there's any question. You look at Eason when you come down to the model that Clemson has put together when it comes down to graduating players. I mean, Nick Eason, I believe, was the first scholarship player at Clemson to graduate in 2 years. I think that's right. And so, from the logistics of a guy who's got his master's degree, a guy who's focused on education, a guy who was an all ACC performer and ultimately made his way to the NFL and had a nice little career in the NFL, now coming, quote unquote, home to Clemson, is probably going to really help balance out some of the loss. And listen, the criticisms of Coach Bates have been immense on social media. People firing laser beams in his time leaving. Matter of fact, I'll read a couple here. Dari chimes in and says, Swanny, he wanted the job that went to Wes Goodwin, or he knew immediately that he wanted to work for Brent, but stayed at Clemson through the bowl season. We'll probably never know. It's okay. Teams frequently lose assistants. Bent Zero chiming into the program says, Swanny, it was weird that he stuck around and didn't do any recruiting. Didn't thank the Clemson family or the fans that helped secure his job. He basically just thanked Dabo for introducing him to his bromance. It's a strange way to bounce out. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Also, if I may, one final thing. Clemson Recruiting News, let's see, at CU Cruton, hit us up and said, can't even say anything more than one sentence to Dabo or Clemson? Seriously? You were a Jacksonville State University minnow before he gave you that opportunity. Thanks for mailing in the last 2 years on the recruiting trail. Can't say I'm devastated by your departure. Peace. So it's funny because this loss, maybe more than any, is the first move that has soured for a lot of people the relationship, not necessarily between Brent Venables and the fan base, but anyone that's left Clemson staff. Like when Ted Roof leaves, people didn't get all up and bothered, or Miguel Chavis, people didn't get all up and bothered. But when Todd Bates said he was exiting stage left after the bowl game, the shocking way that came to fruition, I think was surprising for a lot of people. And we played the audio from Todd Bates during the National Signing Day event the other day. CU stockholder says Swanny, he's trying a bigger wave. He's going to find out real quick how hard it is to win. Maybe he'll appreciate what Dabo Swinney built and sustained. So there you go. A couple of takes when it comes down to Todd Bates. And again, the expectation that Nick Eason will be Clemson's next guy, will be the next guy, is no surprise to me. Again, he was not only the first name that I mentioned, but he was the first, he was the second candidate that I really would have liked to have seen there. Now, there is no doubt that the fact that Eason's already gotten a year experience on the recruiting trail, I think is probably a notch in his favor over a guy like Brent Buckner. But there is no doubt connections to Alabama and Georgia. And I think, again, a guy with a better pro resume than Todd Bates helps offset some of that loss too. So for Dabo Swinney, if it does indeed turn out to be, as we expect, Nick Eason taking over in that spot, again, some people say, oh, you're sticking with Clemson guys. But again, the foundations that Clemson wants to present the players are in some respects built in Eason's legacy in Tigertown based off of his strong performance as a student athlete. Emphasis again on student. 803-450-0086. Well, the student athletes last night were the Clemson Tiger basketball team on the hardwood taking on Virginia. They had beaten Virginia on the road, weren't able to defend their home
court. Are you thinking about refinancing your home to get cash out for college, a renovation, or to pay off debt? The last thing you want to do is pay thousands of dollars in unnecessary closing costs just to access equity in your home. After all, you have plans for that money. Cap your closing costs with Cap Center, your local South Carolina lender.
We just helped a client who was a professional chef finance the remodeling of his dream kitchen. By avoiding typical closing costs, he had even more money to put towards the premium quality he had hoped for. So the cash out refinance has been a win-win-win for him. We were able to get his rate down. He's using the cash for something he is passionate about, and the money is actually going back into his home.
Cap your closing costs. Visit capcenter.com. Equal housing lender. Visit capcenter.com for rates, savings, and offer limitations. NMLS ID 67717. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Now the forecast from the Red Shirt Guys Roofing. TheRedShirtGuys.com.
The sun continues to get brighter as we get through our Wednesday together. Temperatures a lot more seasonable, 59 degrees for a high. For ABC Columbia, Channel 25, I'm Tyler Ryan.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
Dell Technologies' New Year event helps you save up to 45%. Transform your workspace on high-performance computers featuring Windows 11 Pro with powerful hardware-based security. Call an advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat.
or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You're bringing your daughter to a pop concert. Do you A, wear earplugs?
Isn't this fun, Dad?
I have a soft pretzel.
Or B, just roll with it?
Justin! OMG! I love you, Justin! I love you!
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Major key alert! Don't ever play yourself. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com.
Stay focused. Now that's a major key alert.
Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker? Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
That sounds like a pretty good choice to me.
So last night, welcome back, by the way, to Clemson Sports Talk. So last night, the Clemson Tiger men's basketball team took on Virginia, a back-and-forth affair until late. Clemson went cold in the latter stages of the game. Just 2 of their last 11 attempts were made baskets. And, you know, this team relies so much on the three-point shot. Shot it decently well. They went 9 of 20. That's 45% in the ball game. I mean, their overall field goal percentage was 46%. But really, again, there's a level of frustration that I get with the free throw number that you see from Clemson, historically speaking. It's not always this way, but, you know, I can't help but every time Clemson loses a game where it's kind of tight late, look at that free throw number and think about the fact that Clemson played at home last night. I mean, it's a home ball game in their home arena. And yeah, they only shot 16 free throws, but they shot 62.5%. 10 of 16. Virginia, on the other hand, the road team in this ball game, shoots 87.5%, 21 of 24. They shot 8 more free throws. They made 11 more free throws, and they win the game by 10. Now, look, it would be an unfair conversation to say Clemson should shoot 100% at home, right? And even if you went 16 to 16 in this game, by some kind of miraculous thing happening, it's still 75-71. You still lose. But I just can't bring myself to I cannot bring myself to dismissing the difference in a ball game late where you might have to foul some and give some additional free throws to your opponent. But that scenario maybe doesn't in itself. If you, in turn, have hit free throws earlier in the game. So what I'm getting to is that in the latter stages of this game, Virginia went to the line several times. Of course, Clemson tried to stop the clock, slow the game, give themselves a chance. But maybe that scenario doesn't present itself if Clemson hits free throws that they had the opportunity to make earlier in the ball game. Now, with 8 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game, P.J. Hall hit a three-point shot to give the Tigers a 57-56 lead. Back and forth, nobody really scoring. Virginia ends up tying the game at 57 apiece with 6:51 left on a free throw. Take the lead off the second free throw. Get a stop and a jumper to expand their lead to 3. The Tigers get 2 free throws back from David Collins to trim everything back to 1. So you got a 60-59 game. You got a 1-point game at home with 5 minutes and 34 seconds remaining. You shoot 1 more free throw the entire game. 1 more. Now let's play that out. That's 1 of your 16, right? So prior to that, and that was a make, by the way. So prior to that, You've missed several free throws. And again, I don't need you to be perfect, but instead of sitting there in that moment in a scenario where you're down by one, maybe you're up by 2 or 3. And that's how you change the game. It really, to me, comes down to free throws and late game execution. If you can do those things, you can win a lot of ball games. But when you shoot 62.5% at home and your opponent shoots 87.5% from the free throw line, you're not giving yourself an advantage that you should have on your home turf. And sometimes you might get outshot by your opponent at the free throw line, but you probably shouldn't get outshot by your opponent at the free throw line by 25%. Here's what Brad Brownell had to say after Clemson's loss.
A lot of credit to UVA. I thought they played very well, and I thought we played pretty well. Just not good enough. Played a good team that executed extremely well tonight. Our defense wasn't, as good as it was up there, and they capitalized on it. I thought our guys were fine. I didn't think we were, rusty or anything like that from the layoff. We were fine, and we missed a bunch of shots down the stretch that, you're going to have to make in some of these games. And I thought their guards, Clark and Beekman and Franklin, older guys, I thought they played with great poise down the stretch, and they were very comfortable, kind of like we were at their place. And, they just finished the game a little bit better than we did.
Brad Brownell was also asked about where defensively he felt that his group was lacking last night.
Oh, a lot of areas. They were in the paint way more than we wanted them to be. We had a little bit of slippage and couple game plan things that we kept talking about, but didn't do a good enough job. And then I just think that Gardner was very good tonight. We doubled him a couple times. We didn't double him some. We tried to mix it up. And I thought he made good decisions and was very efficient. And that was a huge factor. He didn't play as well in the last game. I thought they played very well. I thought they had tremendous juice. They run that cutting offense, motion screening stuff. I thought their kids cut extremely hard off the ball. They did a better job of executing their stuff in this game than they did in the last game.
Brownell was also asked to kind of tell where he feels like as they head into the meat of the ACC schedule.
Any more questions? I'm right down the stretch. The meat of your
schedule. Yeah, hard to say. I mean, folks, winning is hard. I mean, these games are hard. Games come down to a few possessions, a couple minutes. You make a couple shots, you miss a couple shots, have a couple bad plays, a couple good plays. I'm not disappointed in my team at all. Our team played pretty well tonight. We didn't play poorly. We had 17 assists, 9 turnovers. They played better. They just played better down the stretch than we did. It was a good basketball game. Sometimes you play Virginia and it's really ugly. It wasn't ugly. I thought both teams were executing. Now, Tony may say the same thing. Hey, defensively, we didn't play as well as we wanted in the first half. But I thought the kids' effort on both sides was really good. I thought both teams moved and ran their stuff very well. But at the end of the day, they executed better and played better than we did and coached a little better than we did in the last 10 minutes.
75-65, the final score from Little John Coliseum. We hit a break on the show that shakes the Southland.
Hi, this is John Farley. For the past 12 years, you've seen me on TV. But before becoming a meteorologist, my first degree was actually in finance. My parents, like a lot of people, didn't know much about the financial world. As a result, they got exploited by some not-so-honest folks. That's why finance has always been a passion of mine, and for the last 6 years, I've been working with the team at Preservation Specialists to help people just like you plan for your retirement. What I love about Preservation Specialists is that we are locally owned and fiercely independent. That means we simply work for you. If that's what you want in a financial advisor, then give us a call now at 803-9-RETIRE. That's 803-9-RETIRE. Don't make the same mistakes my parents did. Work with an advisor who can help get you to and through retirement successfully.
803-9-RETIRE.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital, Inc.
If your New Year's resolution is to spend more quality time with your partner, don't let ED get in the way. The professional erectile dysfunction specialists at Peak Performance for Men know that a new year means a new you, and they're ready to help. 90% of male performance issues are caused by old, broken down blood vessels, which affects blood flow. Peak Performance for Men treats this problem using focused linear compression therapy, an FDA-cleared medical device. Our focused linear compression therapy is a scientifically proven, minimally invasive procedure that uses pulsed energy waves to open and repair aging blood vessels. This increases blood flow, stimulates stem cell growth, and greatly improves male performance. With Peak Performance for Men, there are no medications, no surgery, and no side effects. Over 80% of men who receive the treatment experience long-term improvement. Call now to receive your free consultation and free medical ultrasound at 803-302-8181. Schedule now at 803-302-8181.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Get ultra strong for your South Pole. Charmin keeps your undies whiter than the North Pole. Shiny, hiney, a brand new year. Come to us, Charmin. Happy New Year. May your holidays be Charmin, clean, merry, and bright. May all your undies be Charmin, clean, white.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
And Doug.
Don't you just love the smell of old books? Shh, this is a library. Sorry, ma'am. We're looking for a book titled Liberty Mutual Customizes Your Car Insurance So You Only Pay for What You Need.
I don't think we carry that, but check nonfiction.
He really does devour literature.
Please leave.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
If your New Year's resolution includes getting into shape, make step one downloading the free iHeartRadio app. Whether your goal is balancing mind and body or ramping up the intensity to beast mode, we've got the music to get you moving and keep you motivated with dozens of specially curated workout playlists, from rock pump up to yoga music. Just put your headphones on and tap playlists to get started on reaching your goals. iHeart. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
iHeartRadio.
You can help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com. Do it today. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Final segment in hour number one on a Wednesday afternoon, the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk. So a buddy of mine texted me. I put the story up called The Heat Is On with Cade Klubnik is named Max Prep's National Player of the Year. I posted that article on our website and online on Facebook and Twitter. And somebody on Facebook responded. And here's what I don't understand. So the article was, I mean, is there anything, what is not true in what I said during that segment? A gentleman named Butch said, who is Swanny for $400, please? Well, Butch, I'm going to reply, I am Swanny, and I'll take my $400. And then a guy named John says, they pretty much lose all credibility with articles like this. What are you talking about? Do you deny John and or Butch? Especially John, do you deny that Cade Klubnik's not going to come in and challenge DJ? I mean, what is the take that is so controversial? What credibility hit do I take by stating the facts of the matter? I mean, here, I'll give you a little bit of what we said yesterday on the show that shakes the Southland. Well, Cade Klubnik became the 5th quarterback from the state of Texas to be named Max Prep's National Football Player of the Year, and the first since Kyler Murray. With that being said, again, the heat is on. The heat is on when it comes down to DJ Uiagalelei and the Clemson Tiger offense at quarterback. And again, if you check the tapes, you rewind the podcast, you go check out what I said. I have been on the record saying I did not think, this was probably a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, whenever it was, that Cade Klubnik would come in and be able to push and challenge DJ and beat him out. I should make that clear. That when I talked about it, I meant like beat him out for the starting spot. But after watching the bowl game, I just, DJ had a month to heal up. Looks very slow still in the pocket. And the only thing I can imagine, his knee is worse than we think. His finger is worse than we think. Doesn't seem to throw with the same, with the same speed, and the ball just doesn't look as good coming out. A lot of floated balls thrown away. If we're going into the fall camp or fall next year, kickoff of the first game, and Cade Klubnik's getting starting, January 4th, 2022, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. And again, so much of this comes back to DJ more than maybe anything else. He has to get better between his ears. The 6 inches between his ears are the most significant to his journey collegiately, maybe even professionally, that he'll ever deal with. And if he can figure out how to get right between his ears, gain that confidence, and look, Dabo Swanny and the players, I talked about the other day when Swanny and Mario Goodrich are on the podium talking about DJ, and Mario Goodrich is just a nodding and agreeing about what a leader this kid is. And I don't think I don't think most people want to embrace or buy into, knocking a kid down for their mistakes. But man, it is really hard to watch DJ play right now because of the speed in which he plays, because of the lack of accuracy that he has. It's just one thing after the other, and it just kind of, in some respects, feels like it's compounded on top of itself. And I can't honestly think that at this point, with spring ball right around the corner, and DJ's mental state, if you will, at least from this observer's perspective, being what it is, I can't imagine that he doesn't get pressed hard by Cade Klubnik. And if Cade Klubnik is the starter at the beginning of next season, it's hard not to feel like after the bowl game or at some point during the bowl game, my mentality didn't shift to, DJ's in more trouble than I thought. Now, look, there were tremendous issues at wideout this year for Clemson. When Will Swanny starts the final 3 games of the year, that tells you all you need to know about Clemson's depth at wide receiver. But DJ's issues, to me, were bigger than that. Was that a part of it? Yeah. But was it the most significant? I'm not certain. I don't think so, quite frankly. As I said before, I think DJ's lack of poise, his poor decision-making, how slow he is with his knee, and even now I've added in the fact that he doesn't seem to throw the ball as well as he did a year ago. So there you go. That was the high points of what I said yesterday, and I think if you're DJ, and I think if you're Dabo Swanny, I think the thing that you have to hope in some respects is that the old iron sharpening iron adage comes to fruition here, and you get a bump in the way that DJ plays because Cade's on campus to threaten him. Tyson Pumachan was not a threat and was never going to be a threat to DJ. Again, I've wondered about NIL. I've wondered about the pressure being the top quarterback at Clemson. I mean, I've wondered if those things played a role in it. But when you go back and reset the numbers as we did earlier in that Notre Dame game, I mean, my goodness. I mean, that's a stunning result that DJ didn't end up playing better in his first year as a starter. I mean, just a shocking result. I think it's the best way to put it. By the way, Butch, you can Venmo me that $400 because I replied to you, I am Swanny. I didn't phrase it in the form of a question like Jeopardy, but it is nonetheless. I mean, if you're going to say who is Swanny for $400, I'm going to tell you I am. I'll take it. And then for John or whatever the other guy's name was, let me know what part of my credibility was hurt by posting that audio.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
One big tie-up this afternoon. It's on Alpine Road at 2 Notch.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. Get your biggest refund guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros will help find thousands worth of new tax credits so you get every dollar you deserve. So why wait? Schedule an appointment with Tax Pros and learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Breathe easier in your home in 2022 with Zero Res Air Duct Cleaning. It's the only company I trust to get my home insanely clean. Right now, when you mention this station, you can get $30 off your next air duct cleaning, plus 15% off filters and purifiers. Schedule online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
It's about time to crank up the old fireplace for warmth and for the holidays ahead. Tim's Gas Depot has an important message for those looking to install this year or for those that may be in need of service. Do not wait. Hurry. Like many industries, supply lines are thin and experienced help is hard to find. Because Tim's Gas Depot services units as well as selling and installing them, they can use a little help too. Call now. And if you know someone that would like a rewarding career, call them sooner. Tim's Gas Depot on the Irmo side of Broad River Road. Search for them online at timsgasdepot.com.
Way back when, Columbia was a vast dining desert, a wasteland for fast, fresh, authentic Southwestern food. Weren't nothing bundled up nice and warm in a tortilla. Columbia needed Diablos. Southwestern the way you want it. The real deal, with no shortcuts in quality and served up as fast and fresh as you want it. Diablo Southwest Grill. Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. DiabloSouthwestGrill.com.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die.
Fortunately, Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you could make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on a Wednesday afternoon. All right, so one of the things we have not talked about here on the program is a couple of little tweets that came out recently, and I tried to find the one from Oklahoma, but I couldn't. And so I don't know if Oklahoma pulled it after Clemson's tweet about an hour ago, but the Clemson Tiger Twitter account. Okay, first, let me make sure you get this right, because there's been a lot of back and forth between Clemson and Oklahoma, most recently with Todd Bates going out there to coach on the defensive line to be the co-defensive coordinator. But there was a tweet that came out that said, it looked like an official Oklahoma one, and I thought it was, but I could not find it. It said, "Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. We aren't leaving the defense in South Carolina, baby." It maybe, you know what? Let me check one other place, because maybe that came from Todd Bates. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I just looked. I just pulled up Bates' account. It wasn't from Todd Bates, but here's the thing. There was a tweet that came out at some point in the recent past that was, I thought, from Oklahoma's official account. I could not find it. But it was a tweet that said, since 2012, Coach V's defense led the nation in sacks and tackles for loss. 448 sacks, 1,159 tackles for loss. And then today, Clemson dropped the Clemson defense, #1 in the nation in sacks and tackles for loss since 2012, 449, which is one more than Venables' tweet had, or the tweet that mentioned Venables had. And then 1,162 tackles for loss, which is 3 more than the one that was in the other tweet that came out. 1,159. Maybe it was Venables' account. Nonetheless, all those numbers that Brent Venables racked up at Clemson were portrayed to be something that happened in Oklahoma. And that tweet from Clemson football, by the way, simply said, "Players make plays." So, I don't know if there was bad blood before Todd Bates. We know Brent Venables sent a letter of support to Clemson before their bowl matchup with Iowa State. But I can't help but sit here today and think that there is no doubt about the fact that this latest move maybe has gotten the ire of some folks in the upstate, as Clemson, that came out. Okay, by the way, I found it. The tweet was tweeted by former Clemson Tiger assistant. He is now a defensive senior assistant analyst and former Clemson player. Xavier Brewer tweeted that out. And so Clemson fired a little shot back. I guess that, I don't see where that was tweeted by anybody else at this point other than Xavier Brewer. So how about those apples, huh? How you like them apples? I got a number. That's what that felt like. Clemson sort of sending a barb out towards Oklahoma, saying, "Hey, yeah, you guys might be, you might have Brent Venables, but it's our players that have done that." And so a little something to think about when it comes down to Clemson and Oklahoma and the potential that these two teams could meet in the college football playoff at some point. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, Venables, if Venables kind of like Jeff Scott, who, by the way, Jeff Scott got a 2-year extension at South Florida. If Brent Venables goes to a school that's not going to end up playing Clemson and only probably going to play Clemson on one of the biggest stages in college football, most likely it would be in the college football playoff. I mean, when you think about what that game could be like, I mean, sign me up for it right now, right? The press conferences, I'm sure both of those guys will be patting each other on the back. Dabo Swanny about how great Venables is, Venables about how great Swanny is. But this little moment, whether cleared by Swanny or not, a little barb, a little shot across the bow from Clemson. And again, if I'm the Tigers, I know. When we talked with William Qualkenbush about this on Tuesday, he didn't seem to buy into it. But I mean, if I'm Clemson, I'm at least entertaining trying to figure out how to get Caleb Williams to come to Tiger Town. I mean, what would that hurt? I mean, what would that hurt to at least entertain it? Not a thing to me. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. Our website, of course, we'd love to have your support. Just $63.17 to be a part of that. That's right, Gamecock Nation. Say it with me now. $63.17. And all you Tigers, head over to the site, put the .com on it. Doggone it. ClemsonSportsTalk.com. So for the first time in this entire escapade between Clemson staff shifting out to Oklahoma, we have our first shots fired. As I feel like Clemson did. Players make plays. The tweet that comes out from Clemson with the stats, eerily similar to the stats of Brent Venables. And I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to figure out how the numbers ended up wrong. Like, how did Venables and them end up with the wrong numbers? And maybe Clemson, after it came out, said, no, let's see if we can fish up the perfect numbers. Maybe Ross Taylor and crew have been counting up every tackle for loss and watching all the game film from all of Clemson's games. I have no idea what would have created discrepancy there. But Clemson's numbers top the numbers that were put out about Brent Venables. I mean, that's and again, they shouldn't. They should be the exact same. Clemson went digging and found an extra tackle, an extra sack. 803-450-0086. The show that shakes the Southland on a Wednesday afternoon. And, with the college football playoff looming, it's hard not to continue those conversations surrounding the Georgia Bulldogs and the Alabama Crimson Tide. The numbers came out a couple of days ago from the semifinal matchups, and they were well off of the mark of what we saw a year ago. I wonder if this game between Georgia and Alabama, the mighty SEC, will this game pull the worst number of any college football playoff matchup? Or will this game, because it is a rematch, will this game have a heightened sense of anticipation? And even though you saw it a month ago, now all the marbles are on the table, and can Georgia strike for redemption? I mean, to me, if we're gonna focus on the great leagues, right? If that's the thing that Alabama and Georgia represent, the greatest conference in college football, and the two teams that have really been at the top of the mark collegiately this entire year, wouldn't you expect, especially in a scenario where Georgia is the favorite, wouldn't you expect that we would have a situation where there would be great interest from the fans of the world of college football? I mean, wouldn't that be the thing that would be most likely? But instead, I think there's a chance that this college football playoff might present the worst numbers of any national championship game. And that, I think, is another disappointing byproduct of a 4-team playoff. And I think that an expanded playoff, as I have noted multiple reasons why I think it would be better, but the more I think about it, I believe an expanded playoff, even if it presented you with Georgia and Alabama, even if that's where you ended up, I think the fact that people would feel as if there had been more opportunities for more teams. Like if you get a rematch in the Super Bowl, I don't get the sneaky feeling that people are going to sit around and go, yeah, you know what? I've seen that. Been there, done that. But if teams climb through more difficult scenarios to get into the postseason or more to get into the championship through more teams during the postseason, I think you tend to lessen that blow of, yeah, we've seen this one before. The other thing you could make an argument about, and I don't know that personally I would, but you might be able to make the argument that a willingness or a reduction of not having conference championship games would also prevent this. And there have been talks of a playoff where the winners of divisions, navigate their way into, like if you did a 16-team playoff, take all the division champs. Thus, you avoid that, quote, conference championship rematch a month later. Now, is there a chance that, let's say a couple of teams are really good? Say Auburn and Alabama are really good one year and Alabama's going into the playoff, but Auburn wins the division and Alabama is still one of the top teams, and those two whittle down and face off. Would that bother people? I don't know that it really would as much. And I really don't think it would bother people all that much if they rematched in like the round of 8 or maybe even the round of 4. If you avoid the championship game rematch. And I don't have all the answers in front of me here, and I don't know that anybody really does. I think part of the equation is how healthy is it for the sport to have a rematch of a conference championship game just a couple of weeks later. And that was the exact same conversation that we had years ago when Alabama and LSU were battling, or even when Alabama and Georgia were battling back in 2017. But don't forget, Alabama wasn't in the SEC championship game that year, so it wasn't a rematch when those two teams got together. It was just two SEC teams that hooked up. Now, looking at the historical data on it, the last BCS matchup, Auburn and Florida State, national championship, pulled 26.2 million viewers. 26.2 million. The first college football championship between Oregon and Ohio State pulled 34.1 million. So nearly 8 more million people tuned into the first college football playoff championship game. The first Clemson Alabama game pulled 26.1 million people. The following year, the rematch between Clemson and Alabama pulled 25.2 million. Then the Alabama-Georgia matchup actually pulled 28.4. But again, don't forget, that wasn't a rematch just a couple of weeks later. And that's where I think this game could be affected. Now, just for notes, the Alabama-Clemson game out in California had 25.28 million viewers. The Clemson-LSU game had 25.58 million. And last year's national championship had just 18.6 million, nearly a 7 million person drop off from the Clemson LSU game. As a matter of fact, the Clemson Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State last year had 21.15. That was more than the Clemson Ohio State game where Trevor Lawrence and those guys lead the comeback. 21.1 million viewers in that matchup. That was more than the playoff national title last year or the Rose and Sugar Bowl. Either one. So, again, what does this number look like from Georgia and Alabama? I think it could be a significant drop-off. And I think that drop-off occurs because people are tired of or there is certainly an issue that fans have with the SEC, right? That exists. But a rematch of their conference championship just a couple of weeks after their conference championship game is, I think, the thing that's really going to end up bothering or turning people off from watching. 803-450-0086. All right, a couple of things here coming in today. Talking about DJ. Bible Belt Beauty says Big Stinko. Adam says, I think he's talented enough. I think he had a lot of stuff going on in his head mentally. Talking about DJ. Aaron says the dude looked like he never played football before in his life. I don't understand it at all. Aaron also says Kelly Bryant looked 3 times better than DJ did this year. And he didn't look comfortable at all anytime. I can't disagree with those takes. If you talk about DJ Uiagalelei, you are not talking about a guy that looked smooth, calm, or poised really at any point. I don't know. I mean, if you ask me to pinpoint a possession where I felt like DJ Uiagalelei looked good, it's hard to find one. I mean, I don't know how many possessions Clemson had the entire season, but I would tend to believe, like, if you say Clemson got 11 possessions per game on average, or whatever the number is here, let's do 10 for the quick math, right? I mean, I know that's probably, that would be an interesting stat. I think it would be cool to kind of go and dig in and see when you talk about the statistics of the number of possessions per season that you ended up getting. But with all of that being said now out of the way, for quick math, let's just say Clemson had 10 possessions a game in their 13 games. That's 130 possessions. How many possessions did DJ have this year, in all honesty, of 130, if we're just going to round ball this thing, where you go, man, that felt smooth and good. And look, if you eliminate 2 of those ball games for the lack of opponents' talent, right? Like, if you just get rid of the SC State game and the Connecticut game, and you only look at Clemson's 11 Power 5 matchups, you trim it down to 110 possessions. How many drives were really super comfortable? 5? Anybody going greater than 10? I mean, in that, just tell, like, and I don't mean from the standpoint of you watched it and went, man, that was a really good drive by Clemson. I mean, you watched it and went, man, DJ just looked sharp. It might be less than 5. Let's use 110. Forget the games against SC State and UConn. Forget that. How many games in 2022? Hit me up. Text me, 803-45 or 2021, 803-450-0086. Do you say, Swanny, how many drives Do you say, Swanny, DJ Uiagalelei looked sharp, felt really good? Out of an average of, let's say, 10 a game, 110 drives the entire season, how many did you think he looked confident in? I don't think many of you will say much more than 5. Hit me up if you think it's more than 5. Let me know the number. Wait a quick break. Stay with us.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Look out for a wreck on Broad River at Bakersfield. Also, serious accident, Garner's Ferry at Colonial Villa Drive. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line numbers 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
I feel like I'm being haunted by a pair of headphones. Everywhere I go is a creepy ad for headphones I looked at one time. I hate that feeling like I'm being watched. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
By popular demand, Great Southern Homes now lists their coming soon communities online. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your pick of choice lots, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to put the wow in your new home with options and upgrades. Live green, live smart in your new green smart home. Show your style and personalize your new home with options and upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today, greatsouthernhomes.com.
Sharing has never meant as much as it does now. We share the things we love most in life for the world to see. But what if we could actually do more with our sharing than just collect likes? What if this sharing could be used to make a difference? Now there's a place where we can put all that sharing to good use. The National MS Society is asking people to make a difference and share what they love with someone else who loves it too. Whether it's surfing, dancing, or whatever is important to you, we've created a place that'll help you get your experience out to the world. If you have a story, share it. If you have a solution, share that too. Join us at wearestrongerthanms.org, because together, we are stronger.
Take an ordinary putty knife and scrape off the old wax ring. Place the new wax ring over the flange, then line up the bolts with the bowl and gently set in place, making sure a proper seal is created with the flange and drain. Next.
Dad?
Yeah, sweetie.
Is that an old plumbing manual?
Oh, yeah, honey.
We really need to get some new books.
Right, do you want me to stop?
Nah, I kinda wanna know how it ends.
Okay. Tighten the bolts, line up the flushing valve to the opening in the top of the bowl, and secure the tank with a screwdriver and crescent wrench.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Stay on top of today's pop culture. Ace and TJ Mornings and today's hit music all day on 104.7 WNOK.
Back with you, Lawton Swan. A lot of topics there in the opening segment of hour number 2. Again, I'll reset a couple real quick. Do you think that this college football playoff national championship that is a rematch of the SEC championship will be a very low-viewed contest. Again, when Alabama and Georgia played in 2017, that wasn't a rematch of the SEC championship game, which I think is a key component because some people are going to want to pound their chest and say, hey, look what happens when the SEC plays in the national championship game. The numbers go through the roof. Or will, in fact, the recognition that, one, Alabama beat the brakes off of Georgia last time around, but number two, that wasn't a rematch of the SEC championship game that you watched back in 2017 anyway. That great overtime game between Alabama and Georgia was not a rematch of a game that took place just a couple of weeks ago like this one will be. As a matter of fact, that season, that 2017 season for Georgia and Alabama, those two teams didn't play that year until that game. Now, Auburn and Georgia played twice. Auburn and Georgia did play twice. One with Georgia losing 40-17 in Auburn, only to bounce back and beat the number 2 ranked Tigers 28-7 in that SEC championship before beating Oklahoma in overtime out in Pasadena, and then facing Alabama in the national championship before losing 26-23 in overtime. So the whole concept of, well, when the last time it happened, it was the top game, throw that out the window. The second thing that we ask you here, and again, 803-450-0086. If I don't get you in today, I'll get it in tomorrow. The other question I asked was, if you look at DJ Uiagalelei and his season this past year at Clemson, if you were rating DJ, or if you were telling me or calling me and saying, Swanny, we're going to give him, say there are 10 offensive possessions a game, just on average. We're going to take out the South Carolina State and the Connecticut game, right? The lower tier opponents. We're looking at 11 ball games. Of those 11 ball games, how many drives do you say, you know what, Swanny, that felt good? DJ felt comfortable. DJ looked the part. Like, how many of those 110 drives would you say? Is there somebody out there with the last name, not Uiagalelei, that would say more than 5? Like, it is really hard to think. Like, I'm thinking back, and I know every game doesn't just sit there. And I'm not talking about, look, DJ hands it off and Clemson, moves the ball down the field pretty quickly. Like, the opening drive against South Carolina is one where I think you kind of felt like, okay, that was a good feeling. That's one that's memorable and recent. But is it more than 10? I don't know. I just don't think there are going to be many of you. I don't think many of you are going to push into the 30s. And I would imagine if you went back and watched every possession Clemson had this year, you probably still aren't going to have that kind of number. It just was an uncomfortable. It was when you watch a sports team and the star quarterback goes out and that backup goes in, and it might not work out well because the backup quarterback may have some issues between his ears. He's going to see some things he's not accustomed to. Like, you kind of know. It's when your starter goes down. Like, that's what DJ felt like. The entire year felt like Clemson was playing with their backup. There was no comfort in my mind at any point surrounding Clemson offensively. Every throw felt challenged. Every moment that Clemson was on the gridiron offensively with DJ at quarterback, there was an uneasiness that I think many of you, I certainly also felt watching this team And look, whether or not it goes back to what happened with the wide receivers, I really don't know. I really don't know. But there is a belief in my mind that a lot of it was DJ. And he just never looked comfortable or competent. And I think to play at this level, those are things that you have to be able to do. You have to be comfortable. You have to be confident. And confidence might be paramount to being comfortable. Believing in yourself, to me, makes a big difference. 803-450-0086. Again, on the Clemson football front, it looks like the dots are going to be connected, that the replacement for Todd Bates will be former Clemson Tiger defensive lineman, current defensive line coach at Auburn, Nick Eason. Eason, again, spent many years in the NFL as a player, years in the NFL as a coach. His first season on the Plains at Auburn this past year at the collegiate level, but a chance to return home to his alma mater. And, you know, I think for a lot of people, look, there still is going to be a criticism of Dabo Swanny because of his staff being comprised of so many former Clemson Tiger football players. I mean, Brandon Streeter, much like Tony Elliott, two former Clemson Tigers, were scrutinized, or at least their hires and the job that they have done was scrutinized because they were Clemson guys. C.J. Spiller, one of the great running backs in Clemson history, his hiring has been scrutinized by people as well. Will the hiring of Nick Eason fall into that category for Clemson Tiger faithful, if indeed that does come to fruition? With a quick break, we come back with more of the show that shakes the Southland on a Wednesday afternoon.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
If you suffer from erectile dysfunction or ED, we know what your New Year's resolution is. Peak Performance for Men knows that 90% of ED cases are caused by old, broken down blood vessels. Medication may offer a temporary cure for the symptom, but Peak Performance for Men uses focused linear compression therapy to treat the cause. Focused linear compression therapy is a scientifically proven, non-invasive treatment that uses pulsed energy waves to open and repair aging blood vessels, increasing blood flow and stimulating stem cell growth, which in turn improves sexual performance. There's no drugs, pumps, needles, surgery, or pain, so there's no side effects or downtime. Over 80% of men who receive the treatment have long-term improvement in male performance. Performance for Men can make that New Year's resolution come true. Let the experts help you today. They're offering a free consultation and ultrasound. So why wait? Call 803-302-8181 or visit peakperformanceformen.com.
This is Clay Travis. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by DuckDuckGo.
The Cincinnati Bengals are back in the playoffs for the first time since 2015. Joe Burrow is PFF's highest graded quarterback, also has the highest passing grade. But don't forget about the sensational receiver Jamar Chase, who broke the NFL record for receiving yards by a rookie. These two young superstars, who knows is what I say. I'm Chris Collinsworth.
Fed up with companies selling your data? DuckDuckGo is on it. They help millions of people like you take back their privacy online. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
If your New Year's resolution includes getting into shape, make step one downloading the free iHeartRadio app. Whether your goal is balancing mind and body or ramping up the intensity to beast mode, we've got the music to get you moving and keep you motivated. With dozens of specially curated workout playlists, from rock pump up to yoga music. Just put your headphones on and tap playlists to get started on reaching your goals. iHeart. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
iHeartRadio.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today, I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker?
Just say something like this.
Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
The show that shakes the Southland Clemson sports like before the break kind of ran up against the clock. I didn't even mention Tyler Grisham, the criticism that he's received for being a former Clemson Tiger, the fact that Thomas Austin's going to be sliding into the new offensive line coach, the fact that he's a former Clemson Tiger football player. Like, there's so much scrutiny that Dabo Swinney has faced from, I don't know if it's the silent majority or not, but, or excuse me, oh, man, the vocal minority, not the silent majority. Yeah, he's hearing a lot from the silent majority. Oh, God. Okay, the vocal minority about those hires. But again, on Swinney's staff, I think if this number is right, you plug it in. Todd, for Todd Bates, Nick Eason, that's 1. Brandon Streeter, that's 2. Thomas Austin will be 3. Tyler Grisham will be 4. CJ Spiller will be 5. So half of Clemson's coordinators are former Clemson Tiger players, or not half of their coordinators. Well, that's actually factual too. But half of Clemson's staff, of the 10 coaching, the 10 staff members, are former Clemson Tiger football players, which might be maybe more than any other team in certainly the ACC and maybe across the country. Like, I mean, that is a lot of guys who have been in and around the program, or a part of the program. But I think that's also what Swinney's trying to build, right? Like, it's Clemson family. It's Clemson family. And yes, is there the sentiment about the hire of Wes Goodwin? Yeah. Did I already bring up the debate about would Todd Bates have stayed if he's co-defensive coordinator instead of Mickey Kahn? Yes, I think that's probably true. And I think that for Swinney, these hires of former Clemson Tigers are going to be scrutinized. But the thing about Eason that's so good, again, as I said, now are 1, ties to the state of Alabama during his year there with Auburn, connections to the recruits that he was certainly trying to bring in at Auburn. And then lastly, the fact that he's a Georgia native. I think those things, and you're going heads up against the Bulldogs too, right? So I think that's one thing that you probably sort of offset. If you lose Todd Bates and you go to a guy like, say Brinson Buckner, like I threw out the other day in our premium article. If you go that route, Buckner doesn't really have ties to anybody right now. And Todd Bates does. And so by going and getting a guy that's already kind of entrenched in this area and recruiting that territory, you minimize the impact of losing a guy like Bates, and maybe you can maximize the value that is brought to the table by Eason because of, one, his connections to the university, but two, his academic success, and then ultimately his track record of being a guy that played in the NFL. Like, those things can parlay positively for Dabo Swinney. Again, check out the website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. If you get time, we'd love to have you be a part of the program anytime, any place, anywhere. It is incredible that we are already done with the college football season outside of the national championship game. The NFL getting set for the playoffs to start brewing, and I also believe that a lot of people are ready for the NFL playoffs, which again presents my belief that that model works. The way the NFL is set up works. And so while there will be plenty of criticism of Alabama and Georgia, and I certainly have talked about that here, I still buy into the belief that a larger playoff makes it better for everybody, and the NFL's model is the model to follow. The NFL's model is the one to follow. And for Saban, think about this too. 15 years ago, yesterday, Nick Saban became the head coach at Alabama. It was January the 3rd, 2007. So what was that? 2 days ago, I guess, was when Nick Saban, by the way, I read Nick Saban's book, loved the book. I really like Steve Spurrier's book too. Like, if you want book recommendations here, I'll give them to you. I mean, I can give you show tunes if you want, but I can give you book recommendations too on the show that shakes the Southland. But when you think about how dramatically Nick Saban changed the game of college football at Alabama, I mean, it is truly unbelievable, the success that he has had. And, you know, if it weren't for Saban, if it weren't for Nick Saban, let's not forget or fail to recognize the fact that Dabo Swinney's run in recent years would be considered one of the greatest you've ever seen. He just happens to be doing it at the same time as another guy who is and has done it better. Saban seeking his 8th national title since 2003. That would be 8 titles in 19 seasons, seeking his 7th title at Alabama, dating back to 2009. Saban won titles at Alabama in 09, 11, 12, 15, 17, 20, and looking to get one here in 21. I mean, that is just simply incredible. And Swinney's 2 titles, combined with 6 trips to the playoffs and 4 trips to the championship game, just gives you an idea. And he's the only guy that's ever beat Nick Saban, by the way, in the national championship. Just gives you an idea of how good Dabo Swinney's run has been, but yet with this other huge shadow out there having so much success, it's not that Dabo's overlooked. It's not like Dabo's work is underappreciated. But the fact is that he's doing, this would be like I don't know, 2 famous painters. I mean, I mean, Rembrandt, I think, is a painter. And was Salvador Dali a painter? Was he a great painter? Picasso, there. Let's go Rembrandt, Picasso. I feel comfortable with this take. I don't even know if those 2 guys were alive at the same time, but if they were, and they were painting heads up, people go, maybe one's a lot better than the other, but it should not diminish how great Dabo Swinney has been, because Saban's been so good as well during the same tenure.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1000. 1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The big hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. This is a legit product. The key ingredient is Testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Hey, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text FORCE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Nugenix samples are not available in stores, so text FORCE to 42424 right now. Text FORCE to 42424. That's FORCE to 42424.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Every year, Steve Faircal climbs the stairs at the John Hancock Center in Chicago, 94 floors to the top.
It's called the Hustle Up the Hancock.
It's hard to believe when you watch Steve today that a few years ago, his lungs were failing and he was fighting to survive.
For 8 hours a day, someone was pounding on my chest to try and keep my lungs clear. I honestly don't think I had more than a couple weeks to live.
That's when Steve received the gift of life, a double lung transplant made possible by an organ donor.
After I got my new lungs, I started doing things that I had never been able to do. I never knew that breathing could feel this good.
Steve climbs to honor his donor and to raise awareness for organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Wouldn't you like that when you left this beautiful planet, that you could save a few lives on your way out? It's an incredible gift.
Imagine what you could make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We need you to help the Federation Center of the Blind continue its life-changing mission of opening more doors to blind South Carolinians. Please call us at 803-254-3777 or email nfbsc@sc.rr.com to see how you can volunteer or make a donation. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Wednesday afternoon. Guest-free, more of me. Celebrate it. Celebrate it. Yeah, again, just talking about Nick Saban and Dabo Swanny. It's really it is really, I think, not a shame, but, Swinney's run has been phenomenal. And it's probably been overlooked by some, not all, because of Nick Saban. But remember, Swinney's got 150 victories. This is the key. And I know winning games and championships are two different things. I mean, they sort of run hand in hand. But let's not forget, Dabo Swinney at age 52 has 150 victories, okay, in his career. And the record in 15 complete seasons is 165. And Dabo Swinney can equal that if the Tigers were to go undefeated next year. Now, that's a stretch, right, to believe he'll equal Urban Meyer and become the winningest coach in 15 seasons of the start of a career. But it is not impossible to imagine that he wins 10 games or 11 even and surpasses second on that list, Bob Stoops. 160 is absolutely in reach. 161 perhaps. Now this year Clemson only got to 10 wins, but if quarterback play steps up and whether it's DJ or Cade Club, I mean that doesn't matter. The team's going to have a chance to make a run at 160 for sure for Dabo Swinney. And if they get the additional game in an ACC championship, it becomes even more likely that they get to those 10, 11 wins that Swinney would need to move to second all time. And who knows, maybe they make a run to the playoff and he gets a game short of it, or even maybe they make some kind of miracle undefeated run and win another title and he equals Urban Meyer. Who knows? But in 15 seasons, I do wonder. I need to look this up and find out the winningest coach in 16 seasons, in 17 seasons. Like, what does Coach Swinney have to do over the next couple of years to become the winningest coach in a specific tenure in the history of college football? And can he do it? I mean, I remember when Dabo Swinney first started at Clemson, he was making a run at all of these numbers, and then Jimbo Fisher would come along and gobble him up from behind. It'd be like Jimbo Fisher at Florida State surpasses him. Every season, Dabo would set a new record. Fisher would eat it up. But then when Fisher went to A&M, the losses have kind of followed, and that's allowed Dabo Swinney, I guess, to achieve more success in the amount, in that given window. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try to look it up for tomorrow to see, how many wins would Swinney need to average, let's say, over the next 5 seasons to be the winningest coach in the history of college football in a 20-year window for the start of a career. I mean, how many games does he have to win? Is it a huge, huge number? I honestly, I have no idea. But I think it's probably something that's worth at least taking a sneak peek at, just to see. And if you're wondering, well, how come Nick Saban, Swanny, you mentioned all of Nick Saban's success. Well, the problem for Nick Saban is the fact that in order to be in this moment, and the reason a lot of coaches don't have this moment is because you have to start off winning. You have to start off winning in a hurry. There's no sitting around and having a couple of bad seasons. I mean, you got to hit the ground running. And Saban, unfortunately, while he had a good start at Toledo going 9-2, his tenure at Michigan State yielded a 34-24-1 record. Now, he had success at LSU, but it wasn't superb. I mean, I know he won the national title, but you're talking going 48-16 in 5 seasons. Now, his run at Alabama has been magnificent. And at some point along the way, those years are going to rapidly accelerate Nick Saban into probably, when you talk about tenure, going 14-1 and 14-1 and 13-1 and 14-1 and 11-2 and 13-0 and 13-1. Like, his results on the field are going to begin to present a hurdle at some point along the way for somebody trying to climb that ladder, right? Somebody trying to get to the top of college football in terms of what Swanny's got a chance to make a run at in terms of wins to start a career could be affected by the back end of Nick Saban's time coaching in college football. But at this point, not going to lie to you, and I don't know who's ahead and where it goes. By the way, just for your sakes, Nick Saban's got 269 wins all-time coaching collegiately, 269, 66, and 1. But Dabo Swanny has a chance to make a run, certainly at Bob Stoops' 160 wins, and maybe could equal, with some fortune, a lot of fortune, Urban Meyer. We got to get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us until tomorrow. As always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Knightner Street